Pergolakan politik di Myanmar menyebabkan Malaysia berdepan-depan kira-kira
Saya datang Malaysia.
Kenyataan kontroversi yang dibuat oleh aktivis Rohingya Nur Azizah yang mendakwa wujud layanan tidak
Pusat Pengasingan Khas Pelarian dan Pemohon Suaka Bidor Perak akan
yang terima semua non-Muslim country. Ini bermaksud Malaysia telah lama memikul tanggungjawab kemanusiaan tanpa obligasi undang-undang antarabangsa. Persoalannya, sampai bila Malaysia perlu menanggung beban ini secara bersendirian? Mengapa negara-negara maju yang sering bercakap tentang hak asasi manusia tidak menerima lebih ramai pelarian? Mengapa negara-negara ASEAN masih gagal mencari penyelesaian yang tuntas terhadap krisis Myanmar? Mengapa negara transit seperti Malaysia terus menanggung kos sosial, ekonomi dan keselamatan?
Udah siap belum? Ya. Jalan-jalan dengan sepatu roda tuh, kiri kanan ikuti irama lagu. Semua mata hanya tertuju.
Macam mana Rohingya ni boleh masuk Malaysia?
Ya adalah scroll TikTok, social media kan. Lepas tu saya tengoklah konten yang diorang buat. Tapi saya pun tak berapa nak sure yang konten yang diorang buat ni sebenarnya mendatangkan kebaikan ke tak. Sebab saya rasa dia lebih kepada menimbulkan isu pada rakyat-rakyat kita sekarang.
Saya pun tak tahulah setuju ke tak. Nampak kelakar pun ada, nampak kesian pun ada.
Apa isu yang diorang buat sampai orang Malaysia ni marah sangat dekat diorang?
Kenapa ramai orang sokong influencer-influencer yang cakap pasal isu ni dekat social media?
Kalau tanya saya setuju lah dengan influencer tu buat konten macam tu sebab nak bagi orang atasan sedar apa yang diorang ni buat dekat negara kita.
Today, I will talk about the pre-existing sentiment and the viral crisis in this issue. In the contemporary digital public sphere, the power of media is no longer confined to traditional newsroom. Today, online spaces have become a battlefield for competing national and international narrative. The roots of the current digital tension regarding undocumented communities in Malaysia did not happen in a vacuum. It was heavily triggered when refugee activists such as Nur Azizah used global platform to deliver speeches that frame Malaysia negatively on the world stage. Despite decades of humanitarian refuge, the international discourse deeply damaged Malaysia's global reputation and sparked massive resentment among local digital citizens. In response to this pre-existing national sentiment, local influencers began utilizing digital democracy to create satirical parody videos, mimicking and dancing with Rohingya-populated areas to highlight local municipal frustration. Therefore, we examine this specific controversy as our primary case study, evaluating how digital satire interacts with human rights, national security, and the boundaries of expression.
Next, I will talk about the influencer strategy and public support. To understand the public and student response to this viral crisis, we must analyze the reception of this parody strategy. On one hand, many netizens and students actively support the influencers' approach, viewing it as a necessary form of democratic whistleblowing. From an objective standpoint, the unauthorized action of certain groups such as operating illegal trading stalls, establishing unregulated residential areas and acting above local municipal laws are institutional violations that require immediate intervention. Therefore, the public views this parody strategy as a bold, effective way to bypass bureaucratic silence, using digital pressure to force high-level authorities to enforce local laws and protect national sovereignty.
So, I will further talk about the ethical criticism, privacy and also human rights about this issue. However, this issue also raises ethical concerns about privacy and human rights, using global platforms to damage Malaysia's reputation after receiving humanitarian protection raises moral questions. Filming parodies at real locations also affect the privacy and dignity of the people involved. Although some activities may be illegal, mocking vulnerable communities can increase public hostility. The threats against the influencers also shows how online provocation can quickly escalate into real-world consequences.
Takut satu orang masalah, semua orang kena juga. Orang bukan semua sama. Lain-lain pun ada.
Saya pun malu juga. Ya kita pun duduk lama sikit lah. Tapi kita ada orang salah juga. Tapi bukan semualah. Tapi saya banyak malu, sangat-sangat lah. Sebab kita orang duduk, memang kita orang duduk baik-baik lah. Tapi kita orang memang ada salah juga. Itu asal saya minta maaf.
What is democracy and our neutral academic stance? So this brings us to a fundamental question. What is digital democracy and exactly how free are we online? The core of democracy is the freedom of expression. However, in communication ethics, freedom is never absolute. It is bounded by responsibility and accountability.
Etnik Rohingya ni, kalau dia kata kita tangkap dia, kita letakkan dia dekat kem tahanan, kita nak hantar dia balik sebab dia tak sama dengan pelarian-pelarian ataupun tak sama dengan parti-parti daripada Indonesia ke, daripada Myanmar ke ataupun daripada Vietnam. Sebab bila kita tangkap, kita hantar dekat kem tahanan, kita hantar dia balik, maksudnya negara dia kena terima.
Evaluating these complex layers brings our group to a neutral academic stance. While we recognize this parody approach as a medium for social critique, we firmly object to methods that compromise public safety, infringe on privacy, or exploit identity politics to manipulate social media algorithms. We do not take sides. Instead, we emphasize that every right to free speech within a digital democracy must always coexist with the rule of law and moral responsibility.
Ultimately, we conclude with critical suggestion for both social media users and policymakers. We urge citizens to practice tabayun, to verify and process viral issues intellectually rather than emotionally, avoiding the trap of digital vigilantism. Simultaneously, regulatory authorities must act swiftly on local socio-economic and complaints so that citizens do not feel forced to use digital provocation to get a response. Let us protect our democratic spaces by respecting institutional processes. Remember, true digital maturity means using our voices to uphold the law while maintaining the very empathy that makes us human.